First of all, hi, Perry. We're going to say this anyway, but we're recording now. And then we'll have a coffee commercial come on, and then people will have a Toyota commercial come on, and then something else. We've got to go to a commercial break. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, so what's this guy read it slowly now, whatever it is he's asking.
He said about the Atma, okay, enters the body as a spherical shape, and we exit our body at night. So we are not one with the Atma, but must depart our body at night to allow the Atma to enter?
No, the Atma is not the body. The body is not the Atma. The body is the body. It's a machine. It's a electrochemical, carbon-based hydroelectric dam run by an Atma. It doesn't run itself. There's no human being on earth that runs without the Atma running it. It wouldn't function. It wouldn't do anything. Because the intelligence of a being is not in the brain. It's not in the body. Never was, never will be. People are going to have a hard time getting this when they've been suppressed on earth for, who knows, lifetimes, to make them forget all about what they really are, what they really used to know, and how to move around the whole multidimensional creation, which is what they're supposed to be doing. So this person is going to have their own direct experience through the hue, through the new ray and the hue, to remember this wisdom. It might be suppressed in this person, but the person used to know it. That's why he's asking these questions now, because he wants to remember. It wasn't confusing to him long ago, which means that it can be recovered, and his knowing certainty about all of this can be recovered as well. But he's going to have to do it through his own effort, using the creative imagination correctly, to only create that which will be of uplifting benefit to all life. And that means not just life on earth, but life beyond earth, out in the universe, and in other realities as well, other parallel and higher dimensions, because that's what the normal human being is meant to do, co-create new ways of doing things for the good of all life. The beings that work out in the Galactic Alliance and many other universes, many other galaxies, on individual planets will work for the collective good of all the planets involved in that alliance, and then for the collective good of planets that aren't even in the alliance. They don't think like people do on Earth in a selfish, self-centered way. When people have money issues and tax issues, it makes them petty and grabby and selfish, because they're frightened of the future, not having enough. They're afraid of death. There are all these fears. And none of them are natural or normal. Fears are not natural or normal. They're artificially created states that affect the nervous system of a person. And they're subconscious. So it's no wonder people don't know what's driving them nuts, or what's making them afraid of the future, because it's more than just what's manipulated out in the news worldwide to keep them that way. It's also programmed into a spherical energy that surrounds their own Atma, that they look through into the universe without knowing it. They're like looking through colored lenses and seeing distortions of the truth that keep them grounded to this planet. So I'll give you a good one. Some religious leaders on this planet teach their followers in the name of the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or whatever, that if you leave your body, the devil will get you or something bad will happen. The opposite is true. If you don't leave your body, you're already trapped by such tyrants on this planet. So you see, they're made to think entirely backwards about the whole situation. The fact is, if they're on Earth and can't get out of their body, they're stuck. They're trapped here. And so it isn't a matter of anything trapping them when they get out of their body. It's already done. They're already here and can't remember anything. And that's how they should be thinking about this, so that they can begin to ask the right questions and get the right answers from the omnipresent living spirit behind all life, the hue itself, the first word. The one in the Bible, it says there's this first word, but it isn't a word. And it's not in the Bible. It's not in any religious book. It's a sound frequency, a living energy presence, a tone that brought everything into creation.
Scott, my question is how to ask the right question, you know?
You have to be aware enough to ask the right questions, because if you're not, you're going to ask the wrong questions and you're going to keep getting the wrong answers. It's awareness. It isn't data. I can't tell people, write them a letter and tell people in words what hidden truth is, what God consciousness is, what enlightenment is, because it'll just be information for them, not the experience. And it's only the experience that makes them aware and wise, not the information. The information, like there's multidimensional planes, there's physical and astral and causal and mental and etheric and the void and many planes above that and other parallel dimensions and other worlds and other galaxies. You can tell people that all day long till you're blue in the face. And it's good in that they understand such things exist, but it doesn't do them much good until they experience it for themselves. Information only inspires people to seek and find answers, but they won't find real answers by getting information. They have to have a way to explore and experience the knowing of what this is about for themselves. What's it like to be on another planet? What's it like to go to a parallel dimension on this earth? Most of the spiritual cities people have heard about in esoteric circles on this planet are in parallel dimensions on this planet. They're not on Earth here. You can't go to the Himalayas and find Agam Das, or go somewhere and find Raha Kaz, or go somewhere and find Shambhala, because they're in another frequency. You can't go there walking through snow in a mountain and go up to a rock and knock on it. You either have to be invited, or you have to know how to go through these interdimensional doorways. The Atma, the real us, can go through anything. Through rock, through the middle of the planet, out in space, beyond the speed of light, without being affected by gravity or the limits of light speed as it's known on Earth. So it really matters if people become aware of what they are. And it's not the body. That's a vehicle the Atma uses. On other worlds and other realities, people use forms, bodies, to enjoy them, to communicate with others, but they're not trapped in them. They can get in and out of them. It's one of the primary things that more enlightened races among the stars in the physical universe know, that people on Earth do not. How to move themselves around the universe free from this form. They put it in a trance state called sleep, like they do at night when they put the body to bed. Only they leave the body consciously. The body's put on automatic so the heart works and the lungs work and everything's fine, snores, and then you're gone. And the idea is to bring back your experience of where you go and what you've done, bring it back to the physical consciousness in the morning and download it. See, people on Earth aren't raised to understand this about dreams, or about dreams are not made up in the brain. The brain doesn't have the ability to dream like researchers on Earth think, the non-classified ones. PhDs and all that think they know what they're doing. They really don't. Because they don't know where the mind is. They think it's in the brain. It's not. They think emotions are within this body. They aren't. This is what they're missing the whole point. Oftentimes people that are schizophrenic or bipolar have problems in this way are getting it because they have a problem in their emotional body, in the astral body, in the life they're living in the next dimension above here. They don't even know they're living it. And if the doctors who work with them don't know it either, how are they going to be cured? Today in this world, for the most part, people that have mental and emotional problems are given suppressive drugs to suppress the symptoms, not cure anybody. And they have side effects that are not good. Most of those kinds of drugs are addictive as well. So any country, any government that sanctions providing addictive substances to its own people to solve problems is really helping suppress themselves and the people on the planet. They're not doing anybody a lot of good. Sometimes people need these things in order to keep from going nuts or killing people or being violent. And maybe they're good for that, but they don't cure anything. So if people on Earth want to discover what it's like to be free of disease or dis-ease, mental, emotional, and physical, then we need the assistance and help from people, human and otherwise, from other worlds that have long conquered these things hundreds of millions of years ago, who aren't on an ego trip about it and would share it with us freely if this wasn't a planet full of raging lunatics who can't get along from one country to the next. Are you kidding? Do they really think they're going to take that kind of crap out into the stars and explore space and bump into more advanced races? Not going to happen. Never going to happen that way. We're going to have to grow up on this planet and be normal beings again if we're going to join them. And then all the technology and everything they know would be shared with us freely. They've offered it to the leaders of this world once already, 65 years ago. They were turned down by people who were afraid and in terror after World War II. And here's the thing. The beings that offered this to the world leaders on this planet said that one day they would return when we're more ready. That's what's underway now. They made a promise. The only thing that's held it up is people on Earth, not the people from outside of Earth. That's interesting, isn't it? The truth is often quite stranger than you might think when you really look at it. I share with people about the hue. It's known in other places of the world, not very well. Few organizations put it out, but that's not the point. None of them, and no one on this earth, owns or controls or possesses the hue. I don't care who they are. It didn't get invented here. It was brought here from other worlds. And it didn't get invented in other worlds. It was brought here to other worlds from higher realities. It's more ancient than the galaxies and the stars in space. There is no one race that can control or own it. You can co-create with it, and it will co-create with us. It's a living force. Some scientists on Earth are beginning to understand that there is an underlying current or energy that is not made of protons and electrons, that powers everything and supports everything that exists. Planets in their orbit, galaxies revolving around a center, interdimensional doorways between other realities. All of this exists out there, and it has for billions of years. Letting people on a planet like Earth actually explore it and know what to do with it and be invited to enjoy it is another matter. You cannot play that way in the universe if you're irresponsible. If people on Earth are irresponsible lunatics who hate each other and can't even get along, and their religions, they're at each other's religions and who's more righteous, all that kind of petty stuff. The religions that are on this world do not exist anywhere else in the galaxies or in the other dimensions except on this Earth. That's shocking information for people to hear. If you look back in the history of this planet and the one people know, 10,000 years even, the cultures that are promoted and taught in school that were great were all royal family bloodline tyrant thugs who murdered anybody that got in their way, or tortured people, or fed them to the lions. Those are the kinds of leaders that controlled the priestcraft of their time to disseminate information that would keep people ignorant and controlled. This is not something from the divine source behind all life that did that. This is where people get very confused. Religions are fine, everything's fine, faith is fine, as long as it leads to experience. When faith only leads to faith and you're supposed to believe in something until you die to find out if it's true, that's a trap, because it doesn't give people the experience while they're alive on Earth that they need to know. When people really know the truth, they're not bound by fear or doubt or speculation or theory. They're free. They have real free will to decide to explore, get out of their body, meet other beings. It isn't that the solution to Earth's problems doesn't exist. It does. And for many races and beings out in the universe, they could solve Earth's problems in a day. Literally.
Scott, may I ask? You said because the tyrant is the one who used the technology the subconscious mind to control our Atma, right? So some ways not really our
What I'm talking about is that is not, you got to remember this, Perry, it didn't get created on this planet. That kind of technology didn't exist here. It was brought here. It's not new, it's ancient. And there are laws outside of this earth that prevent people from just going and pillaging and raping and completely dominating and murdering most of the people on this planet and controlling the rest as slaves. There are races out there that wanted to do that to this planet, and they have tried to do that, and they have failed. Fortunately, it's been taken care of without open war. Most people on this planet would be dead now. Tyrants are sore losers. So when you go about extracting hidden, covert operatives on Earth, hidden behind the scenes, controlling elite people, you have to get them out of here in a safe way that's non-destructive. Otherwise, they'll just try to blow the planet up when you throw them out of here. They've done it before. So there's more to this, solving this puzzle, than people on Earth know. And it cannot be solved by people on Earth, collectively. For one simple reason, people on Earth do not work together collectively. They don't work together in religion. They don't work together in governments. They don't work together in their secret spy organizations. They don't work together, period. They tolerate each other barely. And that's not going to work if you want to go out and play among the stars. If people want to play in the universe and be free, then we have to step up to bat to show the rest of the universe that we are mature and capable of playing with them. We're not going to be able to go over and take over their planets and mine their resources, ever. Because space, as I've said many times, is already occupied by more advanced races than those on Earth, most of it. So you see, we're going to have to join them, not them join us. The only reason I say that the future destiny of Earth has been changed permanently and significantly in recent few years is because this was done by the collective agreement of hundreds of billions of beings just in the physical universe that live beyond this planet, regarding this planet. They're not going to tolerate now or ever people taking nuclear weapons out in space. They're not going to be allowed to set them off if they take them out there. They'll just be neutralized. They're illegal. There's no good can come from them. They're only destructive. Radioactive materials altered by man to be an unstable isotope with high radiation counts is illegal out there because there's no good for it. It's just destructive. It just kills anything if it gets out of its little lead box. It's not even a good energy source to power ships or ships to the stars. Nobody uses that stuff out there. Are they nuts? They think they're going to go use some kind of hybrid nuclear reactor to power an intergalactic, interdimensional portal doorway warp ship or something? No. We would never have the right to pollute other worlds and other space because of the stupidity. I hate to say that, but no, let's not use that word. Because people have been suppressed, their higher faculties have been suppressed here, or they would know better. They would never even think of, they wouldn't even think of doing what they're doing to each other on this earth if people were awake right now and knew who they were as Atmas and not bodies. None of this would be happening on this planet. None of it. It would all go away. Nobody would want it anymore. The experiment of evil, as I've mentioned, is a process that was put into place in the lower dimensions eons ago. And it's a failed experiment, which means it didn't do what it was intended to do. It trapped more Atmas in the lower worlds, and they've never been returning to the source they came from. That's a problem for what you would call the supreme being or the source itself, because we're supposed to be returning with experience from these lower dimensions and offering our insights to that source about how to do things differently that will work. That's what a human being is for. That's why we exist. to be eventually trustworthy co-creators with that supreme source itself. That is the destiny of an Atma or soul. People talk about soul and Atma and spirit and astral bodies and all this stuff, and I guess that's good as far as information and data is concerned, but having the knowing experience of what the Atma is, what it looks like, who you are, that isn't physical, how to move it around, when that happens for a person, it changes everything. They no longer have a fear of the future, and they no longer have a fear of death, because there's no such thing. Bodies can be annihilated in a nuclear bomb or run over by a herd of turtles, or have an elephant sit on your head. That's going to ruin your whole day. But the point is, if the body perishes, the being just floats there and goes, oh, lost the body, now what do I do? It cannot die. It's not made of, it is energy, but not energy as people on earth understand it. It is a kind of energy that makes up an Atma that is the same as the omnipresent living energy behind and supporting all life. You can't destroy it. You can change energy in form. You can take water and evaporate it into steam. It becomes clouds, and then it rains and becomes solid. It's like the Atma. You can destroy a body around it, but you can't do anything to the Atma. The Atmas can be manipulated. The energy of an Atma can be manipulated to think against itself or imagine against itself that it cannot know, that it doesn't remember, and things like this. Tyrants trap the Atma through getting them to misuse their own imagination, the force they use to co-create with the supplying power that runs through everything that exists. And if you imagine negative things into it about yourself, it will be happy to help you out by creating that with you. So beings get compelled to trap themselves. That's how tyrants get control of their energy. All of that begins to be reversed when a person or being begins to wake up and remember something was done to it, the being, that made it forget. And it's that thing they cannot remember that's in the way of them being free. When a person begins to use the imagination, which is not made up in the brain, by the way, it's the way the Atma sees into the multidimensional universe, or the third eye, or the third ear, as some people have called it. When that begins to awaken in a person, they begin to recall who they are despite what was done to them to make them forget. And it becomes a process in the hue that is irreversible. Once it begins, it cannot be reversed. That being will recover and wake up one day and return to being co-creator with that source as it was originally intended. So you see, our future is actually quite bright indeed. It's not what people think. I'm sometimes very strong about saying this stuff because if I'm not very clear about it, people will, every opportunity they get, they'll misunderstand it, throw it in with their religious belief, try to fit it into some other situation, and it won't fit there. Truth is truth for anyone, anywhere in creation, or it's not true at all. That means the same truth that's good for us is the same truth that's good for a reptilian, or a tall white, or a gray, or a million other humanoid races out there, beings that are beyond human in other dimensions. It's true for all, or it's not true at all. The most tyrant being operates that way because they're the most terrified, subconsciously, and they want to strike out and suppress everything around them before they think that something will come and do it to them first. That's how tyrants think. It's completely ass backwards. It's backwards, wrong thinking. So you see, when I think about tyrants, I don't cut them slack. It's not that I support them, I don't. But I understand what was done to them to make them that way. And that's all reversible, just like it is for people on Earth. It's very important. So when I go into these tones that I do on these shows, it is a telepathic function. And it connects with beings who are not on this earth, who don't have subconscious minds, that don't have implants compelling them to forget. And they aren't and cannot be on ego trips. They're not on power trips. They want to help solve this problem of retiring this experiment of evil. Anything that makes people forget who they are is considered evil. Anything that keeps them from knowing what they are, that can leave a body and be who they really are as a being, is evil. Anything and everything that keeps people from experience, direct experience with the source behind all life, that's evil. It means that it keeps people from knowing who they are so that they can be used. That's it. And the beings who do that and use people really don't want to do it. It's compulsive. They can't help it. So you see, this problem has to be solved by a vast host of races beyond Earth, because they need to solve it out there, which is what they're doing, so that it won't sneak behind corners, breaking an off-world treaty, and get in control of hidden leaders here again. That's being reversed. It's the only way you can do it. To approach freedom on a planetary scale, it has to be for everyone, without exception. That's all there is to it. And it does not, and cannot be controlled by a mass of people on Earth who don't know what they're doing. And they don't. So as they experience contact with beings from other worlds in the privacy of their home, or when they're out of their bodies at night, when the body's asleep, and they are and they will, they can be assisted to see through this illusion what it is they're doing wrong, how it happened, and then they can change their ways on this earth, and they will. None of them want to be tyrants. They just can't help it. So this is important for people to know. If you don't know this, you're going to be putting up your fists all day and all night about royal families and the presidents and hidden government, classified, that you're going to be doing this all day long. That's a negative stream of energy towards usually all the wrong people, because the ones that are really running things here are not public figures, which means people are throwing stones at all the wrong places. Tyrants love that, because it keeps people agitated in a negative stream, and then they can keep them suppressed and unaware and unawake, living a life, paying taxes, and knowing nothing, except faith maybe. When you die, you find out, kind of an attitude. That doesn't work, because the truth is, the only thing you leave this life with when your body ceases to function is what you are aware of. No more, no less. It's better a person leave this life knowing what they are as a being and how to move it around the universe. So when the body drops, they just move on. They go to places they've been to many times. It's a piece of cake. There goes fear of death, gone, bye forever, so long. This is the way consciousness really works. Self-realization, people have heard these terms, is being aware of what you are as an atma, as a soul, really knowing it, an individual, and the purpose for that existence. God realization, or awareness of yourself as a supreme part of a supreme being, an individual aspect of it, is knowing how to co-create with that source in eternity on multiple dimensional levels. Those two things are two things that every human being is capable of knowing, experiencing, and implementing. Even if they don't believe it right now, it's true. Once they wake up enough about everything they've been made to forget, it all kind of comes back. So with your permission, I'm going to go into these hues. They're going to go a series of tones. And then if people are paying attention and they get peaceful in themselves, come from the heart. Imagine someone they love and have respect for, that they're grateful for that thing, whatever it is, person, place, or thing is in their life. It could be a beloved pet, a daughter, a husband, a wife, a spiritual leader. It could be whatever they have love for. It doesn't matter. And put all your fears and concerns about the future destiny of yourself, your family, and the world on a shelf aside. Because when the hues start in this way, they're coming with an energy from billions of other beings who know how to work with this. And it will help shut down these subconscious programs in people, turn them off for now, so a deeper part of them can begin to surface and remember. Imagination is not made up in the brain of a physical body. There's no motion picture camera, no view screen projecting what you see in your imagination in the brain. That's not the purpose of the brain. When you close your eyes or look out with them open and imagine being in the mountains you went on a trip to, or somewhere by a lake or by the ocean, or you imagine a bird or a hummingbird or a weeping willow tree, or summer or winter or snow or icicles or whatever it might be, you're seeing it somewhere in creation, but not the brain. The being that runs that body is seeing it somewhere in the multidimensional universe. In present time, in the past down the time track, even in the future as a potential, or looking into parallel dimensions in present time on other planets or in higher dimensions. The Atma is spherical in shape, and it can see or perceive, see and hear in any direction, wherever it puts attention on it or all at once. It is a telepathic capability the Atma or soul has with this living force behind all life. And it connects into it through the hue, and there begins to be a conversation. But it's not done in words, it's done in three-dimensional holographic imagery. Real communication is seeing and hearing and knowing in multiple dimensions, whatever it is someone wishes to communicate with you about, and vice versa. Since people on Earth are not taught from childhood onward about what the imagination is or how to utilize it, or how to leave the body, or what dreams are, which is bringing back memory, either clear or distorted, about their journeys beyond the body at night when they put the body to sleep. All Atmas leave their body at night. 7.5 billion people of unconscious people leaving their bodies at night, coming back without any real awareness of their importance or how to retrieve full awareness of what they're doing. That is the condition of planet Earth right now. And it is not normal. The more I can help people become aware it is not normal, the better off they're going to be in every way, because they are capable of remembering, even against all odds, that there are beings out there that what they did, they thought was permanent, no one would ever recover. This is not true. I did, against all odds. And if I can, others can as well. Be above your body, just like you imagine a waterfall or a park or a river. You do it all the time. Just imagine being above your body, looking down as a spherical energy on your body through the roof of wherever you are, sitting there with its eyes closed. It's fine, it's protected, it's safe. The hue sees to this. There's a certain protection that goes along with working with it. The body is what we call the trance state. Because when we get into the right calmness, a serenity of being through the hue, it shuts down subconscious negative programs, and it begins to have the pineal gland in the center of the brain secrete melatonin, creates serotonin. And these are substances which keep the body running on automatic, breathing and the heart working while you're gone. Simple as that. You do it all the time at night, but you're not aware that's what you're doing. It's important to become aware that's what's taking place, because that leads to knowing experience, direct experience. So any faith in anything is good if it leads to direct, enlightening experience. Simple as that. So many people on Earth believe that you cannot know the source behind all life, that that's impossible, because they're just lowly humans. This is not correct. What a being is, the Atma, is comprised of the very same energy as that supreme source itself. It's not a secondary energy it created after it existed. It is it, of it, the same as it, on a smaller scale. Like a drop of pure water in a mighty ocean of the same liquid energy. Be above the Earth. You've all seen pictures of the space shuttle looking down on the planet, or the Hubble telescope. Pictures of Earth spinning on its axis with polar ice caps and the continental land masses in the oceans, in the void of space, and the moon, and the sun in the distance, and stars everywhere you look. That's what we're doing right now. The body's there, it's breathing, everything's fine, but you're also imagining or seeing this at the same time. This is what's referred to as bilocation. It really just means being, bi meaning two, in more than one place at one time. So the body stays behind in one place and you, the being, goes on adventures. In more advanced states, the Atma can be in more than one place as a consciousness at one time. They can learn to be and see into multiple realities at once. It's not limited by the eyes or ears of the human body. Those are made of matter in a certain parallel dimension of physical matter in the physical universe. And bodies made of that matter stay within that dimension. The being is not so limited. The being that runs the body is not limited to staying here. If it doesn't know any better and doesn't believe it and has terror written into it about leaving the body, then it's going to stay here. The odd thing about it is when people translate from this life or their body dies, they have to leave this body anyway. How is it they think that's safer then than right now while the body's alive? Better to know what is out there and what you're going to meet and how to deal with it than to go out there ignorant as a brick and just confront whatever happens. All beings have the capability to see and know the grand nature of the multidimensional universe they live in. There's much they need to remember if they're going to have confidence with this again. Some people have been incarnating on this earth over and over again for 100,000 years with no memory of who they are, without even knowing that's what they're doing. And they say it's God's will. Well, the only God that I know of that would do that to people is a monstrous tyrant, not something to be worshipped. When a being leaves this world, either at the time of translation of the body or through conscious will, and travels the multidimensional universe and goes to the highest realm, far beyond the void known to most Buddhist monks, because there are many dimensions above there, and they go to the source itself and communicate with that source. That source never required nor demanded that we worship it in the first place. It only requires that we respect all life. That's divine love. And it's unselfish. It means that beings create, both for their families and their worlds and other dimensional realities, those things which are good for everyone. That's a normal way to use the creative imagination, this godly power to create. When we imagine something holographically, in a sense, this omnipresent energy fills it, brings it into reality, good or bad. So we want to put only those things out there that are good for all life. And you can't do it selfishly just for your own race, your own country. It keeps you as small as a rock, a pebble on a beach, grounded to just that little tiny self-centered little attitude. If we want to create properly, we need to be able to remember the grand nature of the multidimensional universe and how to play in it, how to imagine it, how to be on earth and be able to comprehend the rest of it while we're alive. That takes respecting all life, not just life on earth, life everywhere out there. If we expect to go play among very advanced races, human and otherwise, then we have to respect them too. They're going to keep this solar system and planet quarantined, which it is right now, because the people on earth are dangerous and out of control. They don't remember, and because of that, they operate from fear, and fear always misdirects proper thinking. It's destructive only. So we want to do away with this experiment of evil, this thing we call fear, because it is an artificially created, subconsciously implanted negative emotion program designed to keep people under someone's thumb. And I'm not even talking about people on earth now. It's much bigger than that. What you see on earth and its history was imported to this planet. It didn't get created here. The more people are aware of that, the more they can confront truth on its own terms for what it really is. All right. Now look around you. You're still in the void of space. Still imagine it. You'll see Perry as a sphere of light. You'll see me. You'll see others. You'll see Ambassador Turellian from the Say Rays. And many people you do not know from other galaxies, from other realities, who are here to participate for the benefit of all of you. They aren't here to run you, control you, manipulate you, or pry into your privacy. That is not what they do. Their energy will inspire and compel people almost naturally to begin to create in new ways, in ways that are beneficial to all life. People begin to discover, floating in the void of space above the planet, that they don't need to breathe oxygen in this state. They are energy. And in this state, you can look around and see and know things. Let's go on a little journey. We're going to go 3 parallel dimensions up from the physical universe where Earth is. This is not astral, it's still in the physical universe. Think of it as 144 separate levels of molecular matter making up different levels, a little higher vibration in each one than we have on Earth. And there are worlds and people living in all of these realities. We're going to go to a planet called Oceania, which is water covered almost predominantly like Earth, but it has some large, maybe some island areas that are the size of California or Oregon or a state, but there's no big continental land masses on this planet, and there are no polar ice caps. Here we are in this void of space by Earth. And you're going to see a vortex open up in the void of space that goes out in among the stars. It's a blue-violet tunnel, a little bit of gold flecks running around it, and it's whirling clockwise direction. And it's an open doorway, and on the other side, way down at the other end, you can see this blue planet floating there in space, but not in our reality. Turellian, who's a friend of mine, who is from the Say Rays, when they had physical bodies, they were 18 to 25 feet tall. Skeletons on Earth have been found millions of years old that are this size, fully mature skeletons of humans, but not from Earth, which predates what's known as history taught in schools by many millions of years. Isn't that interesting? Turellian, his race, immortalized their physical bodies 1 billion years ago, approximately. If they wanted to present a physical form to you and shake your hand, they could. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But they mock it up and utilize it when needed, and then they're back to their spherical self. He's like us, an Atma, but very much more advanced. And so he's signaling us to go down this corridor, this tunnel. And in this spherical form, you're going to find that all of us collectively are going to dart down this tunnel, and you'll hear the sound, like very high up, like the thin note of a flute, the sound of 1,000,000 bees very softly buzzing through it, and the sound of like wind. It's going to carry us through this tunnel. We're not going to be harmed. And in an instant, we're going to come out the other end into the black area of space with stars all around. But this isn't the Milky Way galaxy. When you look behind you as a sphere of light, your real self, soul or Atma, this vortex vanishes, and we are in this other void of space with stars and a planet. There are 2 suns off in the distance. And we're going to go down into the atmosphere of this beautiful planet with clouds that are white with a little tinge of pink, blue-green oceans all over the planet. And you're going to see down near the equator a series of islands. There's a few here and there around the planet, but there's not big land masses like on Earth. And we're going to go down through the atmosphere, carried on the hue, and we're going to come to stand in a jungle area near a beach on the end of one of these islands. In the distance, you'll see a clear, transparent, domed city, several miles long, half a mile high, 3 golden pyramids with quartz caps on them, quite large. And there are 3 or 4 on this one island. And we're going to go into one of these domed cities. You're going to pass right through the transparent dome and come to rest on a well-cultivated botanical paradise. Lakes and rivers, a mountain range, a small one in the background, the 3 pyramids of the city, and you were going to come to experience as if we have physical bodies there, like you have on Earth, but younger, perfect health. And you're going to walk on this grass and smell the sweet scent of flowers. And men and women and children who have a pale blue skin. Very, very advanced human beings with elven-like pointed ears, beautiful, slightly bigger eyes than human, but radiant. Their energy is very uplifting to a human being from Earth. They're one of the more oldest races and most advanced races in the physical universe. There are others. If you look, a man is approaching and a woman, just to look at us, and they're lifting their necks. You'll see little gill slits high up under their neck, 3 of them on each side. Their chins down, you wouldn't even notice them. They're very intrusive. These beings evolved as human beings with the help of the Say rays long ago in galactic history to be able to breathe underwater or on land. They have little webs between their fingers and their feet for swimming, but not real big webs, just little ones near the base of their fingers. Very elegant. They're trim, elegant, very aware of themselves as Atmas, even though they run these beautiful pale blue bodies, human bodies, but skin like Krishna maybe, not quite so blue, but beautiful. Now, you're going to hear them talk to you in your consciousness. Their mouths will not move, and you'll hear them clear as day. They're simply saying hello, and you're welcome. We're visiting this planet called Oceania. 100,000 years ago in Earth's history, one of these cities they built on the bottom of Earth's ocean to monitor the surface dwellers. Surface dwellers, other than a few adepts, didn't know they were there. When the poles changed and destroyed continents like Lemriel, and a colony continent almost independent, 2/3 its size, called Atlantis at the time. People would call that today. They dissolved their city and left. Their spiritual work was done. So I'm giving you a little time track history here of what was involved on this planet. Beings from other worlds were involved. The surface dwellers in Lemriel were from other planets. It was a colony. Races that were of a tyrant nature under treaty were allowed to have small colonies on Earth for scientific research in other places of the world. Tyrants bring their slaves. When the poles change, they leave them to die or become savages and survive. This is a long history that's all being changed permanently so that it doesn't happen this way again. When you're with Oceanian people, they can impart to you the awareness of that real history of Earth that you do not know about because they were there. From this experience, whatever you can see with your imagination, send it back through your body on Earth, through the top of your head, that's in the trance state called sleep. So you have an awareness of this guided journey that will be beneficial to you. This is being recorded, so Perry, when it's done, will put it up on her YouTube channel. And you'll be able to review this as many times as you need to have more conscious experience. Work with the hue before you go to bed at night asked to be shown deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. If you can't read English in one of my books, you can always get a book and put it under your pillow at night. And you're going to find that beings from other worlds can speak all languages, and they will help you read it and understand it and have experience in your own native language, in Thai or Japanese or Chinese or whatever it is. There are beings well trained who can speak to you in your own language. The Oceanians can speak any language that exists. So they'll be talking to you in Thai, right in their world. Tyrellian's giving us a signal. You can thank these Oceanian people, men and women and children, several dozen of them, more coming up. And they tell you, if you wish to come back here, you may. Just be respectful, that's all. Tyrellian is signaling, you're going to see a flash of light, and all of us spherical atmas are going to find ourselves hovering above Earth, all the way back in an orbit around our planet. Send this experience of hovering above space as a spherical energy being, the real you, through the top of your head, into your brain, out through the body, and let this energy run through your form out into the whole world for the benefit of others. In the next instant, you'll find yourself hovering above your head, where your physical body is, wherever you are. And then open your eyes.
Another good experience.
Experiences are a dime a dozen, but people having experience for themselves, there's not amount of money that can be paid for it, because it helps set a person free. So those kinds of journeys and the way we go about them are normal for many beings in other worlds. So our people on Earth might as well begin to remember and recover this. It can't do anything but be beneficial to them. I know in my own experience in working with the hue and the awareness of it is that, number one, it is not native to any planet or under control of anyone. It's its own living energy force. And it will co-create with us even our own freedom if we're awake enough to use our imagination properly. That's the principle. Respect all life everywhere, and you will advance very quickly and recover, in other words, things that people have been made to forget. So I hope that's helpful to everybody. And what I'll do for now is stop the recording so we can end this particular session officially.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll say goodnight to all your people. And you and I can chat for a little bit. And then I'll send you the recording when I get it up and running.